The doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how long? Neither resident.
Despite holding credit card privileges, Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's time in office has been marred by shocking allegations of misconduct and taxpayer fraud. Recent revelations have painted a disturbing picture of her administration, with evidence of extravagant spending at the expense of the town. One such example is the lavish $555,000 party she threw for Dalton, which included performances by artists like Wyatt and Jay Holiday, who were paid $30,000 and $20,000, respectively, for 30-minute sets. To make matters worse, Henyard's administration spent an additional $36,000 on sound equipment, comedians, and even bouncy houses, costing taxpayers $6,600. Despite the event being attended by only around 70 people, this wasteful spending has led to widespread outrage among residents, with former trustee Valerie Stubbs denouncing the event as a self-promotional scheme. Concerned citizen Jennifer Roberts voiced her anger, condemning the obvious waste of public funds. The situation took a more sinister turn when Carmen Carlisle, a former ally turned whistleblower, revealed critical proof of financial mismanagement. Carlisle's testimony, backed by a stack of receipts, painted an even darker picture of Henyard's behavior, revealing how Dalton's funds were drained over a 2-year period due to her reckless financial decisions. The town's financial collapse under Henyard's leadership, combined with her lavish lifestyle funded by taxpayer money, has ignited fury. She was accused of using public funds to finance personal security details, expensive trips, and a lifestyle that resembled that of a Hollywood celebrity, all while Dalton's economy spiraled downward. The FBI has now become involved, conducting a thorough investigation into Henyard's activities. Federal agents are scrutinizing not only her financial dealings, but also her campaign funds, business ventures, and political connections. The investigation has intensified as police have broadened their focus to anyone associated with Henyard, suspecting they may have been involved in the alleged corruption. Despite the mounting pressure, Henyard has continued with her usual duties, seemingly unaffected by the ongoing investigation. This detachment from the growing crisis only added to public frustration, as it appeared that she was oblivious to the struggles of the very people she was meant to serve. Activists like Brittany Norwood have voiced their belief that the FBI's intervention, while long overdue, is finally addressing the cries for help from the town's residents. The investigation into Henyard's alleged corruption became even more complex when Carlisle, the key whistleblower, disclosed her shocking first-hand account of Henyard's misconduct. According to Carlisle, the mayor's extravagant spending and manipulation of public funds over the last 2 years has left Dalton in a dire financial state. As federal agents pieced together the information, they began to uncover a massive web of corruption connecting Henyard and several of her political allies. Residents of Dalton, once blind to the depth of the financial mismanagement, were now left to face the grim reality that many of those they trusted may have been complicit in the corruption. Henyard's downfall took a dramatic turn when she voluntarily turned herself into federal authorities. Her sudden surrender shocked the community, leaving residents to question her motives. For months, Henyard had maintained a glamorous image, seemingly indifferent to the mounting scandal, but now she was in federal custody. Legal experts suggest that her decision to surrender may be part of a strategy to negotiate a more lenient sentence by offering information about other individuals involved in the alleged scams. If true, this would mark a significant shift in the case, as Henyard, once thought to be untouchable, now faces the real possibility of legal consequences. Her surrender has raised hopes among Dalton's residents that justice may finally be served, but it has also been a harsh reminder of how the town's financial mismanagement spiraled out of control. As Henyard now faces federal charges, the people of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of a town that has suffered immensely under her leadership. The collapse of the town's finances has been accompanied by a growing mistrust of its leadership, leaving Dalton in need of substantial efforts to restore its financial health and rebuild the public's confidence. The long-term effects of Henyard's actions are still unfolding. The investigation into her financial dealings is far from over, with federal officials continuing to examine her spending habits, her ties to business ventures, and her influence over Dalton's financial management. As more information becomes available, it is clear that the story of Henyard's rise and fall is far from finished. The public's demand for justice remains as strong as ever, with many hoping that the investigation will lead to more accountability within local government. Despite the challenges ahead, some residents have started to believe that there may be a path toward rebuilding the community and restoring trust in its leadership. For many, However, the damage has been done, and the road to recovery seems long and uncertain. It is unclear whether the scandals surrounding Henyard's administration will ultimately bring about meaningful reforms in Dalton's government, or if they will simply serve as another chapter in the town's troubled history. The financial mismanagement, wasteful spending, and self-serving behavior under Henyard's leadership have left Dalton in disarray. What once seemed like a powerful and affluent mayoral office has now become a symbol of corruption and reckless governance. Henyard's fall from grace is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power, and the people of Dalton are left to wonder how their once promising town got to this point. Reports suggest that Henyard's financial irresponsibility was not a sudden development. Rather, her actions were the culmination of years of poor decisions and self-interest that eventually caught up with her. Despite her previous image as a successful and influential leader, Henyard's financial mismanagement is now being exposed in full force. The severity of her actions is underscored by one particularly disturbing report. Henyard allegedly spent $440,000 on Amazon in a single day, which highlights the scale of the financial crisis she presided over. Dalton's financial collapse was so severe that the town had to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Leo to help clean up the mess left behind by Henyard's administration. This unprecedented move underscores the gravity of Dalton's financial situation, which had deteriorated under her leadership. As if things weren't bad enough, the Illinois State Comptroller had to intervene to prevent Dalton from receiving $135,000 in crucial funding. This intervention was a devastating blow to the town, leaving residents without the financial support they so desperately needed. Even after Henyard resigned and turned herself into federal authorities, the town continues to grapple with the fallout from her alleged actions. The situation has become even more complicated, with legal challenges facing those who refuse to cooperate with the investigation. There have been reports of wrongful termination lawsuits filed against those who questioned Henyard's decisions or resisted her authority. This has only added to the ongoing turmoil and frustration among Dalton's residents, many of whom feel betrayed by the very people they elected to serve them. As the investigation unfolds, there is hope that some form of accountability will be achieved, but many residents remain skeptical about the possibility of true reform. Henyard's reckless spending and self-serving behavior have left an indelible mark on Dalton, and it will take time for the town to recover from the damage done under her administration. The financial crisis she created, combined with the erosion of trust in local government, has left Dalton in a precarious position. Dalton's residents, once hopeful for a brighter future under Henyard's leadership, now find themselves struggling to rebuild their community. With millions of dollars missing and the town's finances in shambles, the road to recovery seems long and uncertain. The FBI's investigation may bring some sense of justice, but the wounds inflicted by Henyard's actions will take much longer to heal. Henyard's fall from grace is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of holding public officials accountable for their actions. While the investigation is far from over, the people of Dalton are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered community and hope that, in time, they can rebuild both their finances and their faith in local government. Tiffany Henyard's resignation as Dalton's mayor has done little to alleviate the overwhelming sense of crisis that continues to hover over the town. Her administration, plagued by financial mismanagement, has been further compounded by disturbing allegations of abuse, corruption, and even sexual misconduct, deepening the ethical and legal turmoil surrounding her. In an attempt to deflect blame, Henyard's administration has made counter-accusations against others, but these efforts have done little to quiet the rising outrage among residents. The community's deep dissatisfaction has only been intensified by these new revelations, which paint a darker picture of Henyard's time in office. One of the most recent developments involves a lawsuit filed by Boone Trish, a former employee, against Henyard, adding another layer of legal trouble to the embattled mayor. The lawsuit has quickly become a symbol of the toxic and authoritarian leadership style that Henyard is accused of fostering, which has left Dalton in a state of dysfunction. Described by many as hostile and intimidating, Henyard's leadership style created an atmosphere of fear within the town's administration. Numerous lawsuits, public condemnations, and now criminal charges have followed, painting a bleak picture of a mayoral office run by an abusive and corrupt leader. Beyond financial corruption, disturbing claims have surfaced of sexual impropriety during official city visits. Allegations of sexual assault and intimidation towards employees who dared to challenge her authority have surfaced, adding a particularly troubling dimension to Henyard's already tarnished legacy. These new revelations have shattered her once polished public image, replacing it with one of exploitation, corruption, and abuse of power for the residents of Dalton. The sight of Henyard in handcuffs has been a moment of vindication. They have long suffered under her leadership, which many now refer to as an era of doom. Her arrest symbolizes the long-awaited arrival of justice for a community that has endured years of neglect, financial ruin, and exploitation. However, while her surrender marks a significant step in holding Henyard accountable, it also raises many unanswered questions. Some believe her decision to turn herself in is part of a calculated strategy to manipulate the legal system in her favor, potentially negotiating a favorable settlement or protecting others involved in her alleged corruption. These suspicions have only fueled concerns about the integrity of the legal process and the influence that Henyard may still exert. Despite the mounting criminal charges against her, the power dynamics at play, given Henyard's extended tenure as mayor, have left many residents wondering if true justice will ever be served. With the web of corruption stretching so deeply within the local government, there is growing doubt about whether she will face the full consequences of her actions. The community, long betrayed by the very leader they once trusted, is left grappling with the long-term impact of her actions while demanding transparency and fairness as the legal proceedings continue. Henyard's surrender has not immediately provided the sense of closure that many residents hoped for. Her continued defiance and apparent unwillingness to step down as mayor have only intensified suspicions that she may still be trying to manipulate the system. Her presence in office, even as she faces mounting legal challenges, serves as a painful reminder of the corruption, financial devastation, and abuse of power that defined her tenure. However, the residents of Dalton are resolute in their determination to reclaim their town and rebuild from the damage Henyard's rule has caused. Despite the overwhelming psychological toll of her alleged misconduct, the financial devastation left in her wake, and the long and difficult road to recovery, there is a collective sense of resolve. The path to rehabilitation will not be quick or easy, but it is clear that the community is committed to confronting the corruption that Henyard left behind. The financial wreckage caused by Henyard's extravagant spending has left Dalton in dire straits. The task of disentangling the web of corruption will require a significant commitment to accountability and reform in local governance. Moving forward, the people of Dalton must ensure that future leaders are held to higher standards of integrity and transparency. This is not simply about promises of reform, but about taking concrete actions that prioritize the well-being of the community over personal gain. Dalton now finds itself at a critical crossroads. The lessons learned from Henyard's downfall must be used to build a more responsible and accountable administration, one that actively works to restore trust in local governance. While Henyard's arrest and public disgrace have not immediately solved the town's deep-seated issues, they have opened the door to a much-needed opportunity for Dalton's residents to heal and rebuild. The town, once engulfed in scandal and deception, now has a chance to turn toward a future based on honesty, transparency, and ethical governance. The road ahead will undoubtedly be challenging. The scars left by Henyard's leadership may never fully fade, but they will serve as a constant reminder of the importance of vigilance, accountability, and the necessity of demanding ethical conduct from those in power. Whether Dalton can fully recover from this crisis depends largely on the resilience of its people. They must be determined to restore the integrity of their community, fight for real reform, and hold their leaders accountable while the legal proceedings against Henyard are ongoing. The revelations that have come to light thus far paint a damning picture of her time in office. The full extent of her actions, both financially and personally, is still being uncovered. But for now, it is clear that the people of Dalton are ready to reclaim their future and begin the arduous process of rebuilding the community they once cherished. The possibility of a fresh start for Dalton, built on accountability and collective action, is within reach. The town's future can be shaped by its determination to rebuild from the ashes of the scandal, but only if the residents remain committed to justice and reform. The lessons learned from Henyard's rule must be applied to create a government that truly serves the people rather than exploiting them. Henyard's downfall marks the end of an era defined by corruption, financial mismanagement, and abuse of power. But it is also the beginning of a new chapter for Dalton, one in which the community must confront the lingering effects of her actions and rebuild from the damage caused by years of misrule and deception. The question now is whether Dalton can seize this moment of reckoning and turn it into an opportunity for meaningful change. For years, the town was mired in scandal after scandal, with residents struggling to cope with the fallout from Henyard's leadership. Now, as they attempt to move forward, they must confront the weight of the financial ruin, emotional trauma, and widespread corruption that her tenure left behind. Many wonder if they can ever fully escape the shadow of Henyard's misconduct, but there is hope that through unity and determination, the town can emerge from this crisis stronger than ever before. The scars left by Henyard's rule may never disappear entirely, but they will serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of accountability, oversight, and the need for ethical leadership. As Dalton moves forward, it is crucial that the town remains vigilant, committed to justice, and dedicated to building a future based on honesty and integrity. The road to recovery will be long and difficult, but the people of Dalton are no longer willing to allow their town to be defined by the mistakes of the past. The Henyard scandal has exposed the depths of corruption within the local government, but it has also sparked a collective desire for change. The lessons learned from this painful chapter in Dalton's history must guide the town toward a brighter, more transparent future. Though the legal proceedings are far from over, Dalton is inching closer to uncovering the full truth of Henyard's actions and the damage she caused. As the investigation continues, the residents remain resolute in their demand for justice and their determination to rebuild. With each new revelation, the town moves closer to reclaiming its future, and with it, the chance to rebuild its reputation and ensure that no future administration can exploit its people in the way Henyard did. The road ahead will be challenging, but the resilience of Dalton's citizens and their unwavering commitment to rebuilding their community will ultimately determine the town's future. The downfall of a corrupt leader marks the first step toward reclaiming Dalton's promise, ensuring that the mistakes of the past are not repeated, and rebuilding a government that works for the people. Though the journey will be long, the people of Dalton are ready to rise from the ashes of scandal and create a stronger, more transparent future for all. As the town moves forward, one thing is clear: the people of Dalton will never again allow their leadership to exploit their trust.